Hello. Hi, Matt. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Oh, it's just us at the moment, is it?
Is it? No, I think there's a few others.
Here we go. People coming in.
Cool.
Hello, Rachel. So I just had a technical meltdown just as I was trying to launch Zoom and had to restart my computer. I was like, oh no, it's too late.
I wondered, I thought, yeah, you're a minute late.
Yeah, it's not like me. Hi, Pascal.
Hi, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great stuff. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Pascal, how are you, mate? You all right?
Great. Rachel?
Good,
Oh, yeah,
good.
we were all in Toronto, yeah. How's everyone
Hi,
coping
Rachel.
with the jet lag?
What?
It was
Not really cold,
when I
is
was
it?
there, but now I'm fine.
Yeah? Okay, great. All right, so we're all talking over each other a little bit at the moment. So I'll just ask everyone to mute up for now while I introduce the webinar and what we're going to cover today. Yeah, first of all, I need to show you a disclaimer. 1 second. So just take a moment to, oh no, hang on. Oh, this is what happened last time and I'm having these same issues again with my screen. Can you still hear me okay? No, no one's responding.
Yeah, because you're on mute.
You can, oh, okay, I can't see you because my screen has been taken over.
Okay.
Okay, bear with me 1 moment. I'm going to try and fix this. Maybe Matt, we're going to go in a bit of a different order because I think I might have to jump out of here and jump back in. Maybe you can just introduce yourself while I do that and then I'll join you guys back in a moment.
No worries.
All right, thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Matt. I think you may recognize my face maybe from the video journey, possibly. How are you, Rachel?
Oh, I'm back. It's okay.
You're back. Okay, you can take over now.
Yes, sorry, Matt. Okay, I'm not sharing the disclaimer today because for some reason it keeps messing up my computer. So just so you know, anything that's shared on this webinar is not necessarily the opinions of Scrap the 9 to 5. It is myself or anybody who is sharing at the time. So that was all really. Okay, so we do have the wonderful Matthew Cook here as a special guest today, which I'm super excited about. And I'm going to pull you out in a minute, but don't worry. Thanks for being on standby, but you can sit back and breathe for a minute. First of all, I want to introduce the topic and a few of my thoughts on the area, and then we'll bring Matt out and we'll open it up into a bit more of a discussion. So for anyone who hasn't joined this webinar before, it's not so much like a Q&A like what Dan does on Tuesdays. It's much more of a mastermind discussion, sharing. I usually share some of the things I've learned on my journey. I'm focusing mostly on the common obstacles or challenges that people come across as they start this journey. And then we open it up to a bit more of a discussion for people to share. So in case you haven't seen already, and hi Olga and James, if you guys want to come out on camera, you're more than welcome. There's a button available to do that, but if you don't, that's also fine. You can type in the chat. So if anyone has questions as we go along, there is a chat bubble at the bottom. Feel free to type your questions in there and I will try and remember at some point to look at it. So the topic today is about this whole idea or this whole fear that comes up for many people on this journey of what value have I got to share. So we hear Stuart in all the modules and all of the leadership team talking about the importance of giving value and the importance of making all of our content value focused. And then you have that daunting moment when you need to start producing content and you're like, well, what do I talk about? What value have I got to share? Like, I'm not an expert in anything. Why is anybody going to listen to me? Like, what am I going to say that's different to like Dan Holloway or whoever? And for many people, this can become a challenge that needs to be overcome, and it can become an obstacle because we get, there's a lack of confidence about sharing, and there's a lack of confidence about what value we can offer to others. So that's the topic for today. Now, I guess the first time that this comes up is probably when you're asked to maybe do your first blog post, or the 90-day video journey, or maybe you're just thinking about starting your new YouTube channel, for example. So I know for me, it came up massively around the time when I wanted to start creating more regular content for my YouTube channel. I didn't have so many worries with the 90-day video journey because it was a safe, contained space. But when I had to go out there into the big wide world, that was a very different story. And I spent a lot of time procrastinating. And I had to kind of deal with this issue that was blocking me. So I'm just looking over to the right occasionally because I have made some notes for today that I wanted to share with you. So one of the things that is really important is that, hi James. So one of the things that's really important is to remember that everybody has to start somewhere, and we can get so easily put off or intimidated because we're looking at people who are, several years ahead of us. You look at these people's YouTube channels and they've got thousands of followers, they've got hundreds of videos, their content, it looks amazing, it's all very professionally edited, they've got beautiful thumbnails, and it can be just incredibly intimidating to even know where to begin. Okay, now the point is that they all started where we're starting. Everybody had to start somewhere. So the first thing is not to let yourself get blocked by that, and just be yourself. So I think the number one thing I want to say, I'm going to give like 5 little points here, and the number one thing is just be yourself. When you're creating content, when you're creating video, when you're doing anything in this online business where you're wanting to connect with your avatar, with your customer, it's so important to just be you. You want to attract people who believe what you believe. You want to attract people who are like you. So if you start trying to pretend to be like somebody else and it's not comfortable for you and it doesn't feel right, not only are you going to maybe attract people who are not the kind of people you want to be working with or communicating with, but you're also they're probably going to sense that in your energy. They're probably going to feel that inauthenticity from you. So of course, model what other people are doing. Like, this is talked about all the time in the community. Get ideas, get inspiration from the people who've done what you want to do, who've achieved what you're trying to achieve, but don't copy them. Find your own take on it. Find your own way of expressing it, and the people that resonate with you, they will find you, and you will find them. So be yourself. Number 1 point. Second point is stop comparing yourself. So comparison is, I think the quote is, comparison is the death of joy. And we can never be fully happy if we're comparing to somebody else. There's always going to be somebody who's further ahead of us on the journey, somebody who's better at this, better at that. But at the end of the day, we don't know their struggles. We don't know what they've been through. It just comparing with others is, again, just going to lead us into like a negative place where we're not being true to who we really are. So I know, like, for example, when I wanted to start my YouTube channel, I was looking at several SFM members, like people who are very successful, Dan Holloway, the Lifestyle Team, like different people. I was looking at their YouTube channels, and it was very intimidating because they had so much there already, and it kind of took me into a place of thinking, well, why even bother? You know, what's the point? Like, that person's already made a video about procrastination, or you know, there's already 100 videos out there about whether SFM is a scam or not, or like, there was so many, you know, it had all been done. But then I had like I had a very interesting conversation actually with Dan about it, and he was saying, well, yeah, but you know, it was just this same thing again of different people are going to resonate with you than what resonate, for example, with him. So even if you are saying the same message, you're not going to say it in the same way. You know, even if you're not trying, you will say the message differently. Like, the only way it could be the same is if you were literally like reading a script, and even then it's not the same because your energy is different, your persona is different. So don't compare yourself, and just just be who you are. The third point is to focus on the people that you're trying to help. So again, everything I've talked about so far, the struggle that might come with starting this journey or starting to create content and being confident about it, it's all struggles that we're having with ourselves. Yeah, it's like self-doubt, self-belief, am I good enough? It's all me. And one of the key ways to shift that and change that mindset excuse me, completely, is to instead look at the other person. So if you've got a good idea of your avatar, which hopefully you do before you really start focusing on content creation, if you've got a good idea of your avatar, then you want to come at everything you do from a point of view of what do they need. So take yourself completely out of the equation and just imagine your avatar. You know, maybe it's someone stuck in a corporate career, you know, they're unfulfilled in their work, they're desperate to spend more time with their family, and they don't know where to start, but they have an idea that online business could be the thing for them. So for them, like, put yourself in their shoes and imagine what they need to help them to get started, to motivate them to take that step and to like start believing that they can create change in their life. And the thing is, you may not feel that you're an expert at anything yet. You may not feel that you've got a lot of value to share, but just by the pure fact that you're here on this webinar or like listening to the replay, you're already 10 steps ahead of that person because you've already taken that step. You've already started your training. You've already started learning and implementing and growing. So you've got a lot to share with them, even if you don't realize that you do. All you need to do is guide them. Like, people are looking for leadership. So if you are a guiding hand to them, then that is of value to somebody. So focus, like spin it around every time you feel any doubt and just focus on what they need. What was my next point? Okay, so I've just got 2 more points and then we're going to bring Matt out. Number 4 is if you're doing okay, let me start again. So one of the struggles might be that you don't know actually what topic to talk about. So maybe you've got over the lack of confidence and all of that, but you're literally just struggling for ideas of content. Now, if you're doing the 5 things that leaders do, you're not ever going to struggle for content, right? The 5 things that leaders do: visualizing, income producing activities, reading every day, 30 minutes, like learning or reading, learn, do, teach, and mastermind with others. If you're doing those 5 things, there's tons of places there in your day where you're going to get inspiration. Whatever book you're reading, you might learn something from that you can share. Whoever you're masterminding with, what conversations you're having with SFM members, or the webinars you're on, or, you know, just Facebook messaging or Facebook posts that you're seeing in the tribe, all of those things can give you inspiration and ideas for content. Okay. So I know in the beginning, when I first did the 90-day video journey, it was a struggle to think of things to talk about initially. And what I started doing quite recently was, every single time I have an idea, every time I'm inspired by anything, every time I read or see something that resonates with me, any time that my imagination is sparked in that way, I make a note on a list. So I have this like one list that's just ongoing, started off with nothing on it. Every single time I get an idea, I now put that on it. Just a couple of sentences to remind me, or a link that I've seen. And then it's there for when I have time and when I'm ready to create content, I just go back to that. And I've now got over 100 things on that list. And you know, I've got more ideas than I have time to create the content. So that's a really great way to like overcome the worry of not knowing what to talk about. Okay. I'm whizzing through these quite quickly, but afterwards, if people want to talk about any of these more or ask questions, then we absolutely can do that. And then the final one is also going back to the 5 things that leaders do, the learn, do, teach. So that one in particular, number 5, learn, do, teach. So the biggest growth and the biggest learning comes from when you actually start teaching, when you actually start providing value. Because a lot of the time we're in the initial stages, particularly in this journey with SFM, we're in very much in learning mode. We're watching a lot of video and webinar and training, and we're absorbing it all. And that's great, but we reinforce that learning, and it really starts to sink in when we start to share it. So in the teaching, there's massive growth there. So just make sure that you're doing that in whatever way you can. And that might be the 90-day video journey, for example, or, you know, it might be in your blog posts. In whatever content you're creating, you can apply that. Okay, so I'm aware that I've whizzed through them quite quickly because I don't want to spend the whole of this webinar just talking at you. I want to bring Matt out and chat to him and get his insights, and I want to open it up to questions. So before I bring Matt out, I call you Matt. Is that okay, or do you prefer Matthew?
Actually, it's Matt. I don't know why I called myself Matthew on Facebook, because no one calls me Matthew. It is Matt. I need to change that, really.
Okay, so, that's cool. Yeah. I just had a moment of like, oh, I should maybe be calling him Matthew. Yeah.
But you know, the weird thing is everyone knows me as Matthew now, which is weird for me.
Right.
So I might have to keep it.
Oh, well, you're Matt to me.
Good.
So, okay, before I properly bring him out, although he's already been out several times, has anyone got any questions about anything I've already said? And while you think about that, I'm just going to look at the chat. Oh, okay. Rachel, I see your hand. Hi, guys. And I've got a message from Olga. Hi, guys. I'm at work. Happy to... Oh, great. Well, I'm glad you can be here, Olga. Listen in the background and try not to get in trouble at work. Rachel, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I have a question about the biggest growth and learning comes from the teaching and the sharing.
Yeah.
Just wondering what that dynamic is and the process of that is, because I'm doing the 90-day video journey, and I have I suppose what holds me back when I'm trying to do a video on something that I think I know about, I practice and I do, I lack the confidence to put that across. And is that what you mean by the growth, the fact that I feel uncomfortable sharing, and that's where I'm going to grow, because I'm feeling uncomfortable and I'll become less uncomfortable the more I share?
Well, that's a great point. That isn't what I meant, but that absolutely will happen. That's, yeah, you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone by doing the video, I presume. That's what it sounds like. And that is totally normal. That is just because you're not used to this situation of being on camera, and it's new to you. And so you need to practice that skill. You need to practice being in that situation. And the more that you do it, the more it just becomes normal. And in that way, you're growing, because you're expanding your comfort zone. So something that was once scary for you is no longer scary, right? And maybe you're somewhere in the middle at the moment. It's still a bit scary, but you're doing it, right? You know, like, it wasn't that long ago that being on a webinar, like I used to go on the Marketing Mastery webinars that Dan does every week. And the first few times I went on, I didn't even have my camera on. And then the first few times that I spoke on the webinar, I was like, oh my God, my heart is beating so fast. I'm really scared. Now everybody's looking at me. Like, as soon as I was talking, I was terrified. And then I just wanted like to turn the camera off and no one to see me. And like a few months later, I'm now doing my own webinars. So it's just a step-by-step process, you know. Things that once seemed scary become less scary, and you know. But what I meant about the teaching and how that gives you growth, I mean, from my experience, it's that when you're teaching something, it's reinforcing the learning that you've received. So you can hear things, you can watch them, you know, you can hear all day long somebody saying to you, well, practice makes perfect, you'll get more comfortable with it. You can hear that all day long. But when you start doing it and when you start sharing with others, it actually, like, that teaching sinks in on a deeper level. That's my experience of it anyway. Yeah. Well, we can ask Matt that question as well. So let's does that answer your question, Rachel?
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to bring Matthew out now, and then if there are more questions, he can answer some of them too. So many of you might know Matthew from the 90-day video journey. So I particularly asked him to be here today because this topic, you know, for a lot of people, it's significant when they start the 90-day video journey. And Matt is on his second round now and seems to be loving it. And I see from all the comments that everybody else seems to be loving his videos. And I get to watch a few of them and I always really enjoy them. So yeah, welcome, Matt, and come out. And why don't you start by just telling everyone a bit about like, how long you've been with SFM and what your journey has looked like so far.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Alex, thank you for the intro. So yeah, I've been with SFM since September last year, the end of September. They're going on for a year. And I actually, would you believe, didn't feel like I wanted to do the 90-day video journey. You know, when it like crops up on module 3 or wherever it is. I was like, nah, I don't need to do that. I'm not even going to do that. Like, what's the point in doing that? Like, I genuinely thought, no, I'm not going to do it. And I sort of said to myself at Christmas, right, okay, so New Year resolutions. I want to get on YouTube. I need to try and sort of at least get in front of the camera. So let's give it a go. So I didn't actually join the video journey until January. So by that point, I'd like finished all the modules. I was into marketing and everything else. And honestly, from that day forward, I just chose not to take it too seriously. I knew that by like, I think they say like the first, 30 videos, just talk about who you are. The next 30, you know, talk about your journey. Then the 30 after that, try and add value. And I just didn't see it too much as like this rigid sort of regime that you had to sort of like add a certain amount of value at a certain amount of time. I was just myself the whole way through. And I just told my story. And that's as simple as that. And I think the further I went through, I really started getting into it by probably like video 45. I think it was Momentum Day. When I went there for the first time, I'd never met anyone. That was March. And people coming up to me and, oh, hi, Matt, I know who you are, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think many of us realise that, you know, I don't want to scare people here, but there was like a couple of thousand people in that group, you know, and there are people watching it. And I think it's realising that actually, half the time when you're doing a video, you're only actually talking to yourself. You know, so many of us are so scared to pull out the phone and shoot a video, but we're often like in our living room or wherever we are, just talking to ourselves. It's like talking to yourself in the mirror. So whenever I sort of had anything that I wanted to add, any type of value, anything that I listened to on YouTube, I just thought to myself, well, how would I just tell myself that? You know, if I was telling my wife that, how to share it? I'm not going to try and put it in the same words as someone else, or like Dan Holloway, for example, because I'm not going to do it here. I'm just going to share it how I've understood it. And that's exactly what I've done. I've never once tried to be anyone else. I've literally, like Alex said at the start, just purely just tried to be myself. And I think people just resonate with that. You just share your story. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're not trying to come across a certain way. And I don't think people realize how much value you can give to other people just by sharing your story, just what you've done today, what you've done this week, what you've learned. You don't have to be going out there and searching for content to give value, because you've got so much value yourself. And that's the key. And that's what I've learned. And yeah, like Alex said, now I'm round. So I think today I've just written it down, my 167th video in a row. So I had a break when I finished it, but I've done all night. I did the first 90 in 90 days, and I've done the second lot in 90 days. But you know, you don't have to. That's not me saying you have to. It's just I set myself that sort of like challenge at the start. And I don't plan it. I don't go, right, okay, by 170th video, I'm going to talk about this. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about every time. Half the time, it's like 5 minutes before I just think about what I'm going to share. And it is just literally what's on my mind at the time. And I just think, I don't even know whether this is going to be any value. And half the time, the stuff that I think won't be of any value is, and the stuff that I actually try and, you know, manipulate and sort of research and go, oh, this is going to be good, doesn't actually do that well, so to speak, in terms of like the, you know, the people commenting and liking and whatever else. But I think, you know, Alex, you can jump in a minute. For me, if I look at how the video journey has changed my life and changed my business so far, is I'm seeing round 2 as a massive platform for me, because it's a safe space, like Alex said. We're all friends, right? No one's judging anyone. And I see it as, okay, well, let's share this video, let's share this content, and let's see how friends react to it. If it's going to get a good response, loads of comments, loads of likes, then I know it's of value. So I'll then add that to my follow-up series. I'll get it out there. I'll broadcast it initially to my list. And then again, you know, it normally does as well as it would do in the tribe, right? Because people are resonating with it. And then it will go in my follow-up. And that's the beautiful thing with this video journey. You know, you really can get the value from it to help value your business as well, if that makes sense, right? So it's just fantastic in every way. But I think for me, the main thing is just the friendship. You know, I've got so many, including you, Alex. You know, we met on this video journey, didn't we? Some of my best friends are from this video journey. I know a lot of you are on it, but I think anyone watching this recording who's not yet on it, do it. It is love.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for that intro, Matt. That's amazing.
Sorry, that was only an intro, wasn't it?
No, it's okay. No, it's great. Like, you shared a lot of really, I wrote some good points down that I want to pull out more from you on those. It was really great. You did answer some of the questions I had for you, which is also really great.
Sure.
So I love what you said about, and by the way, everyone on the call, if you want to jump out at any point, ask a question, there's something you want more detail on, clarification on, please either just raise a hand or unmute and jump out. It doesn't just need to be me asking Matt questions. But what I wanted to pull out there that you said about how you went to your was it your first event in London?
Yeah, in March, yeah.
And people already like recognized you and came up to you, and I love that, because I had the same experience. I went to my first event in October last year in London. It was the Elite Influencer, and I was somewhere through the 90-day video journey at that stage, not very far in, I don't think, I can't really remember. And I had the same experience, and a few people came up to me and they were like, "Oh, hey, Alex." And I was just like, "Whoa, what?"
Yeah. How do you know?
Yeah, it's so weird, but it also, it makes you realize how like powerful this is. And like later when you're, you know, I'm not sure what stage you're all at with your businesses, but you know, whatever stage you're at, when you're like putting all this work and all this effort into building your business, and like for me at the moment, I'm growing my YouTube channel, and when you're putting content out there and you're not necessarily getting much feedback, you know, you're not necessarily getting loads of comments or email replies, and you just kind of, it's a bit like what Matt said, you're just talking to yourself half the time, you don't really know if anyone's listening, right? But what you don't realize is that you are inspiring people, like you are having an impact on people and you are helping people, and people are seeing that stuff. And yeah, again, like, not to scare anyone who's not started the journey yet, but it is powerful, like just putting yourself out there and sharing. And I love what you said as well about, you know, you only have to share your story. Like, it's so true. You don't have to come up with something clever to say. You know, you don't have to be like an expert in something. You're literally just sharing your experiences, so like on this journey, you know, and that gives so much insight to people who are just a few steps behind you. You know, you can really inspire people that they can do this when they see what you're doing, you know. And I've often heard, and you may, those, I mean, you're all in the Scrap 9 to 5 group, I guess, so you've probably all heard Dan say how often, like, it's actually more valuable to be just a few steps ahead of somebody than to be like a million miles ahead. And I know that for him, there was a point in his journey where he had like been getting like some good success, making the money, you know, like big amounts of money each month. And then he went to an event and he realized that there was this massive disconnect because people could no longer relate to him. Whereas before that, people had been able to relate to him because he wasn't maybe that successful at that stage. And they were inspired and motivated by him. But then all of a sudden, when his success kind of blew up, suddenly there was this like huge disconnect because people put him on a pedestal, they saw him differently, and they just couldn't relate to him. So don't ever think that you have to have the results or you have to be at a certain place in your business before you can inspire, motivate, and provide value to people. You literally can just be a couple of steps ahead of them and you can give them a lot. Has anyone else got any questions for Matt before I continue, or any question about anything we've talked about so far? No? Okay, good. Okay, we'll carry on then. So I wanted to ask you, one of the things you said just there was that the videos that you really think little about and you just end up sharing something spontaneously that has happened to you that day or whatever, they tend to be the ones that get the most like comments and response, and they tend to be the ones that the most valuable, the most like people enjoy the most, compared with ones that are like researched and thought about and that kind of thing. So what do you think, do you know why that is? What's your thoughts on that, and what feedback have you learned from all that different content with regards to that?
Yeah, no, cool, absolutely. I think it's like anything. The minute you put too much pressure on a situation, you're not giving it room to breathe, right? So whenever I overthink something, if I ever struggle for content for the video journey and I head over to YouTube and try and find something, I'm almost like rushing to put something together, and it just never does well. It never does well. Even if the value from what I've learned is valuable, it just doesn't come across the same way. Whereas if I just let go, I'm a great believer now, right, in just letting go and going with the flow. I never overthink anything. If anyone ever interviews me at the Lenten or whatever else, I don't even ask what the question is first. Off the cuff is always the best for me, because I think if you overthink it, you put too much pressure on it, it just doesn't work. I don't really know what it is, Alex, but I think when I don't overcomplicate it and when I just go with the flow, it's me being really authentic, because I'm just being me. I'm just sharing me. I'm not sharing someone else. And touching on what you said earlier, you've really got to embrace your individual journey and realize that you've got so much value. The diamond's in you, right? You are the value. We so often look at other people on YouTube, Dan Holloway, Valerie, and we go, oh my God, they're doing this. They're giving this value. We should do that. And actually, if you look at them, if you look at Dan, they're just being them. That's why they're so good. They're not copying anyone else. And that's the thing, for me anyway, when I'm just myself is when I tend to perform better, do better, get better reaction, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that does answer it. And it kind of reminded me of like when I sit down to write broadcasts to my leads. I know that like there've been times in the past where I've seen like a broadcast that someone else has done, and I've been like, oh, that's a really good idea, let me try that. And then I'll try and like put that in my own words and make it my own. And whenever I do that, I find that those broadcasts take ages. Like I'll just sit there, like they just take ages to create, and I think, oh my god, why did it take me so long to write an email? And then other times when I'm just genuinely like excited to share something, or I have an idea or something that just feels like it's from within me, when I'm sitting down and I'm like, oh, I'm going to write an email about this because I suddenly realized that this would be great to share with my leads, and I'm really passionate about it and I really believe in it. And then it's just like blah 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 blah, blah. Like it's moments and the email done, sent, scheduled or whatever, and I'm sure those are the ones that get more response, although I'm still gauging that. But they, you know, like it definitely just flows from me easier. And it's like what you said, Matt, like it just takes the pressure off. You are just being you and you're sharing you. And, you know, that's what attraction marketing is all about. That's why we're all here, to attract people that know that like us, you know, and that kind of believe what we believe. So yeah, so very
Really
good point.
I was going to say the same, Alex. Absolutely agree with what you just said there. You know, I had a similar situation a few weeks ago. I think a few of you know, if you've been following my journey, obviously quitting my job, handing my notice in, and I was really excited to do a broadcast. And you know those emails, Alex, you don't even have to think about. You know, you just write it. It just flows. And I sent it, and it was by far, it blew the others out the water. It was like, you know, the best open mic I've ever had in a broadcast. And I did it in about 5 minutes. It just flew off the tongue, right? And it's true, isn't it? It was just me. You didn't have to think about it. And that's it. But it's hard to realise that sometimes, isn't it? Hard to realise that that's what you're going to do.
Yeah. And I think also the thing as well is like at the beginning of the journey, I just realised it's quite dark in here, isn't it? Is that, yeah. Oh, well, whatever. You'll have to see me in darkness. Sorry. But yeah, I think when we're early on in the journey, maybe haven't started the 90-day video journey yet, or, you know, you're still trying to figure that out. And don't get me wrong, like I don't have it all sorted. I'm still trying to figure that out. There are still days when I don't know what I want to say. There's still days when I struggle to know, like, you know, to kind of be authentic and to share what is truly authentic to me. Like, I think, you know, that's just an ongoing process, but it definitely gets easier. And I definitely feel like having those experiences, for example, the 90-day video journey, it doesn't have to be that. If you're not doing video, you know, it might be your blog posts. It can be whatever it is for you. It could be your Instagram post. But the point is, it is just that practice. And then like Matt said, you know, there'll be those moments when you find that thing or it just flows. And then when you have a few of those experiences, you start to realize what it is, what your message is, you know, what you want to share. And you get more confidence in being just you, like being authentic and not trying to create something from somebody else, you know, or copying somebody else. So it is just a journey you have to go through, you know, you like you know, I just don't think there's anything else you can do other than go through that journey and slowly progress and find that within yourself, you know. And you know, I think that's a lifelong journey, but you know, you start somewhere, right? Okay, so unless anyone else has got any questions, I'm just going to keep asking, but again, feel free to jump out. So what I'd love to know, so specifically with like the 90-day video journey, Matt, what did you find was the difference between the first round and the second round? Is there been any major difference between the two, or maybe just how you felt at the beginning of the first round and how you feel now? Maybe that's easier to answer.
Yeah, it is actually. That's a good one. So I think a few people may be able to resonate with this. The first round is more like a challenge. So it's more like okay, the majority of people have done this. This is something I need to do. I didn't necessarily want to be there to start with, remember. So it was a challenge. It was like 90 days, it's getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. And that's how I saw it. And I didn't really focus too much on value, so to speak. I just almost sometimes did a video for the sake of doing a video, just so I could tick it off the list for the day. And then actually, as I started getting to the end, and I'd made all these friends, and I was starting to find my feet, as you do as you get towards the end. I thought this is really sad to see it go. And I went 2 months without it, and I was still on there. But I actually really missed it. So is anyone part of Danny's group, which is Committed to Growth? And one of the challenges, my business goal at the moment is adding value. And that was actually 76 videos ago. 76 days ago, it was like, right, okay, I'm going to set this challenge of adding as much value as I can. Well, how can I do that? How can adding value, where can I do that? And I thought, well, the 90-day video journey is a great platform to give value. So actually, the difference for me on round 2 is the fact that it was choice this time, really. It wasn't a competition anymore. It wasn't a challenge anymore. I'm here. I don't have to do 90 videos. I don't even have to do any. So it changed the perspective of the video journey for me this time, because I wanted to really focus on helping other people as much as I can and growing myself on camera. And that was the difference for me, Alex, in terms of, how round 1 compared to round 2. And actually I went into this with an open mind again, thinking, well, if I made as many friends as I did in round 1, I'll make some more. And I have a lot more actually this time. And off the back of that, created my own Facebook group where I do my own webinars now as well with people I met in round 2. So I'm actually, would you believe, scared of 90 videos ending. I've got 14 left. So I'm like, oh my God, it's like coming to an end. Do I go to round 3? But I think the natural progression for me is probably a YouTube channel, which I haven't been doing because and I'm going to admit this, for months before I handed in my notice, I've been hiding behind the corporate shell. I haven't told many people about SFM. I was, any video on YouTube is unlisted. If anyone doesn't know what that means, it means it goes on there and only people can view it with a private link. So there's no public YouTube videos of me. And even though I really wanted to, I was scared of my boss finding out, right? And now I'm going, and now he knows. I'm just like, get me on YouTube. So I just feel differently, and I think that's where I'm going to go. So that in a long round circle is how I've compared the two.
Yeah, no, that's really great actually, and I can really relate to that. I also had the same experience. I didn't want to do the 90-day video journey. The beginning of it was awful. If I watch back my videos, they were awful. You look back at them and you just cringe. I remember hesitating a lot about what to say and pulling out the camera, and I still do it sometimes, to be fair. It depends on my emotional state. There are days when I'm full of beans, I'm happy, I'm full of confidence, and I don't mind pulling out the camera on those days. But then there are days when I'm doubting myself and I feel really low, and I'm like, the last thing I want to do is pull out the camera today, and you're going to have those moments in those 90 days as well. And when I got to the end, I was the same. I was actually really sad to see it go. And I mean, I think one of the key things that I would recommend is the way you did it, Matt, and doing one every 90 day, one per day, so that you did 90 in the 90 days. I know that they don't enforce that, but I do think that is the best way to do it, because I didn't do that. I let myself off the hook, and there were periods of time where I'd miss a day or two, and that day or two became a week or two, and my 90-day video journey took me about 4.5, 5 months to complete, as opposed to 3 months to complete. And many people do it like that. And, we all have different things going on in our lives. So there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think it has the biggest impact for you in your growth if you do it with one per day, because you are showing up then even when you don't want to show up, because you're going to have days in that 3-month period where you don't want to show up, you've got nothing to say, and you're doubting yourself, and all of the stuff is going on in the mind that is telling you not to shoot a video. And if you've made that commitment to do it in the 90 days, you have to overcome that, you know, whereas I let myself off the hook a little bit with that. And so I don't think I got as much value from it as I could have. But then what I experienced, so Matt, you were talking about the Committed to Growth group. So if anybody doesn't know about this, it's a Facebook group that Danny Ham created shortly after the Transcend You Challenge, which was a 90-day challenge set by Stuart Ross at the last Momentum Day in London, not the one that's just happened in Toronto. And after that Transcend You Challenge, there were many people who got so much from this 90-day journey, which is not a video journey. It was completely different. It was a personal challenge and journey about creating good habits for yourself, and they could be whatever you wanted them to be. But yeah, many people got a lot of value from it and wanted to continue with some kind of challenge like that. And so if anybody is interested, you can go join it. It's open to everyone. It's called the Committed to Growth. It's on Facebook. Just Google it. I'll leave a link as well in the replay of this. And you can basically go in there and you can start a 90-day journey whenever you want. And the idea is that you choose things that you want to create as habits in your life. So, you know, maybe you just want to spend 1 hour per day working on your business because maybe you haven't got the time. So that could be your goal. You could say, okay, for 90 days, I'm going to spend at least 1 hour a day working on my business. Or, you know, it could be that you want to start a exercise regime and you want to go running like 5 times a week. Whatever it is, it's up to you. But it's there to like help hold people accountable. And just recent, was it Monday? I think it was, just a couple of days ago, Valerie has joined the group. So we've got a very successful SFMer, Valerie, who you may all have heard, who's joined the group. And so it's awesome to have him in there as well. But I'm digressing, but the point I was wanting to get to was that after the Transcend You Challenge, I had that same experience that you were talking about, Matt, where you bond with people during these journeys, you know. So it's not just about getting confident on camera and creating content and knowing how to give value. It also is a way of connecting with the community, and it makes it so much more real when you have this contact with the community. You know, a lot of the time as online business owners, we're working on our own, we're at home maybe, or you know, working from a cafe or something, and you're not interacting with people face to face or in real life. And so to have that connection with people on a daily basis, when you put your videos out there and you're watching their journey, they're watching yours, and you're all feeding off each other and inspiring each other, it really gives you something extra. It gives you some extra fuel and motivation, and I think that in itself is really powerful. So Matt, maybe you can talk a little bit about like whether that was your experience. Did you find that it kind of fueled you and gave you anything extra? Or
Absolutely, Alex. Yeah, 100%. I think the personal connections are paramount, aren't they? I think, like you just said there, it makes it feel so real. And I think the more you can connect with other people, you know, comment on their videos, because it is quite a commitment sometimes, isn't it, to sit there and watch other people's videos. But it is just worth it. You know, it really is, because they'll start commenting back on yours. You'll then start showing much more of an interest in their life. The Facebook algorithm will recognize that, and it will make sure their videos. Sometimes you see some videos you haven't even seen them on the journey because you just haven't interacted. And this is what I mean. You know, the people that you surround yourself with on this journey who start at a similar stage, by video 90, you know their life inside out. And that's why Danny Ham and I are best buddies. You know, we spent a few days with each other in Toronto, and we almost know each other inside out because we started the video journey like at the same time. And that's what I mean. You know, you're sharing sort of only maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes a day, but over times up by 90, that's a lot, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, those personal connections are so important. It makes it 10 times easier at events. meetups because you know people. And that's the crazy thing. You know, this last Momentum Day, I met people for the first time in person, but I knew them inside out. And that's such a strange, but it's like, oh, we've actually never met before, but, you know, how's your cat? You know, it's, you know everything about them. So yeah, Alex, really important, isn't it? Completely agree.
That's so great what you've just said there, because if you think about that in terms of our marketing and what we're trying to achieve, like, you know, we, like, wherever you are in the journey, but, you know, when you're trying to connect with your leads, and if you're sending them videos or emails or whatever over and over and over a period of time, this is exactly what we're doing. We're creating a relationship with them that, you know, we haven't met these people in person. You may not even have spoken to them on the phone or anything like that, but you've been, over a period of time, you've been sending them some information about your life, and you've been sharing with them. You've been sharing your journey with them. You've been sharing what you're learning with them. You've been inspiring them, and then, you know, at some point they hopefully will grow, like, and trust you, you know. And it's, I mean, you've just illustrated that perfectly with, okay, not with a lead, but with somebody within the community, but it's exactly the same thing. So yeah, I think it's really powerful to remember that when we might feel, especially in the early stages. I remember when I first started emailing leads, you know, when my list was quite small, and it, you know, you just get no response, and you're like, oh, like, no one's even paying any attention, you know. But they are, and they will, and the right people will, and it just takes time to build that relationship. So, like, don't ever forget that. Okay, that's great. I'm just, how's the time? Okay, we've got a little bit left, so I'm just going to check chat. Olga says, thank you, Alex and Matt, good stuff. Now I feel more confident. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Olga. I guess you're talking about the 90-day video journey. So yeah, great. Yeah, get started with it if you haven't already. And Isla, is that how you say your name? I'm sorry if I've said it wrong. I've not finished mine yet, and I'm struggling to get started again. Well done, Matt. Yeah, so this is this is what I did. You know, I kind of stopped, started, and it is difficult when you do that. I think, I don't know where you're at in the journey, but I would say try to make a commitment to restart tomorrow, or even now, today. Why don't you pull out your camera after this webinar and then just see it all the way through? Just make that commitment, get it done, because it, you know, it is easy just to let it go. Yeah, we'll look out for you there, shall we, Matt? We'll see you in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing you back on there, 100%.
Has anyone got any, I do have another question or two, but has anybody else got any questions? Yeah, Rachel, go ahead. Oh.
Hi, it's not a question, it's more of a response to Isla. Diana Jupiter's in the 90-day video journey for the second time now, and yesterday she posted her second one of 90, her second round, and it was really about 90-day video journey and what she'd got from it, and the fact that she'd had breaks in it and gone back, and it was just a really encouraging, thought-provoking video that she did. It would speak directly to you, Isla, so I just thought I'd mention it.
Oh, lovely. What was the name again of that person?
Diana Jupiter. It's Dijana, and then Jupiter, as in the planet. Diana
Jupiter. There we go, Isla. So there's a tip for you if you want to go check that out. Oh, there she is. You're welcome. Olga has a question, maybe. I'm just wondering, oh, she sent this to me privately. Okay. I'm just wondering, do you have any ideas how to choose an avatar which is not generic, how to find a unique audience? It seems to me that many people have similar generic avatar. Yeah, it's true, Olga. I think it takes quite some time and consideration to really dig deep into your avatar. And on the surface, it can look like a lot of people are targeting the same kind of, like, people stuck in a corporate rat race, that kind of thing. But I guess the key to make it unique? Well, I mean, we could do a whole webinar on this, and if you like, I can add that to my list. It's not something I can fully cover in a few minutes. First of all, I would say you've got Danielle Wilson's Marketing Blueprint webinar. That's going to be a really powerful webinar for you to check out if you want to dive a bit deeper into knowing your avatar. Also, if you're at elite level, go through the elite influence training that Justin's done. That is going to be very powerful for you. And spend some time just really getting in their world. You know, like for most people, when they start this journey, their avatar is themselves, because they've had the pains and the problems that have led them to be here. So they tend to target the same people. That might not be the case for you, but whoever your avatar is, spend some time in their world. And one of the most powerful things that I'm always still trying to get to know my avatar a bit deeper. And again, I think this is another thing that takes time and develops with time. But if you imagine your avatar is one person, so instead of seeing your avatar as like a whole sea of people and trying to speak to all of them, that can be quite generic and you end up with quite a generic message. If you can imagine your avatar as one particular person, you give them a name and you really get to know them. You Google, like, imagine what they're watching, imagine what they're doing with their day, imagine what they do in their free time. You know, like maybe they're a single mom, and you know, then at the end of the day, when their kids are finally asleep and they've finally got that time to themselves, what are the fears in their head? What are they worrying about? What are they looking at online? Where are they online? And just actually go through that process as if you were them, and then you'll get sparks of inspiration. And I think I just sat down one day and did this, and I ended up with this huge page of like, my avatar is Jane and she likes yoga and she does this and she likes her chai latte and la 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 la, you know, like literally, like, what do they eat? What do they drink? What do they think about? What are their worries? What are their desires? And just spend more time on it, basically. But we can maybe do that in another webinar, because I'd love to explore that even further. Okay, so we just got a couple of minutes left. Did you have anything to add to that, Matt, about the avatar? Or
yeah, I think it was a really good, well said, actually, Alex. I think, again, it's something that when you're at the very start of this journey, not the 90-day video journey, the journey altogether with SFM, it can sound quite overwhelming, can't it? Like your avatar. And I think, again, you know, we've said about, you know, just being who you are. A lot of the time, Alex, when you just explained who your avatar was, it was you, right?
Yeah, of course.
My avatar is me.
Yeah.
It is, you know. Who am I trying to attract? I'm trying to attract me, the person who came into this opportunity. And there are how many billions of people on this planet? There's quite a few people who are like you. And whenever I'm doing anything, even like the video journey or even like emailing my list, I'm thinking, well, what would I want to receive? Like, you can sit there for hours and think about, well, what does Jim on my list want to get? No, you just think about, okay, well, what do I want to receive? And I quickly realized that actually I don't want long emails. I want video, because that's what I want. And interestingly, my list responds a lot better to like a very short broadcast and a link to a video that's on my like sales page or whatever. So yeah, I think a lot of the time, just remember that your avatar is often you, pretty much. It doesn't have to be, but I think a lot of us overcomplicate that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Okay, so I do want to ask one final question before we wrap up, because it's been great, and I could ask you so many more questions. But as the main topic of today was about sharing value and how to get over any fears and worries about value, and you know, finding that confidence within you. For someone who's worried that they haven't got anything to share, that they haven't got anything important to say, they just don't, you know, they're in that space. Maybe they haven't started the 90-day video journey yet. They're quite new to the modules, that kind of thing. And they're in that space of really not knowing what value they've got to share. Because I just hear this come up so many times, and I know that was me as well. What would you say to them? Like, how could you summarize the one key point or the main thing you've learned? What would you give them?
Okay, so if this is someone watching this for the first time who's starting, drop the value thing to start with. right? Just put it to one side. Don't even let it come into your periphery. Don't worry about it. Just tell your story. People want to know who you are. You're going to make friends. If you're going to make friends for the first time, you often make friends by telling people who you are, not what your story is. And you won't realize that the value by just telling your story and why you're here will be so valuable to everyone else.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I think that's a great place to start, isn't it? Like, yeah, don't worry about what you're actually saying. Just share why you're there, who you are, just show up and be you. And you'll inspire other people, and you'll be inspired by seeing what other people are doing. And that's where you begin. And then it all grows from there. So brilliant. I love that. Thank you so much. Has anyone got any final questions? We are just slightly over the hour, so I'm conscious that people have lives to get back to. But if anyone's got any really pressing question they quickly want to ask either myself or Matt, then go ahead. Alex and Matt, thanks so much. You're very welcome, Isla. Thank you for being here. Okay, well, I think we're good. No one seems to have any pressing questions. So thanks everyone so much for joining. Thank you so much, Matt, for giving up your time and being here today. It's been really awesome to have your experience and sharing on the group. And I know a lot of people are going to get a lot of value from this. If you guys as well that are on the webinar, if you know people who are in this similar space, like, point them to the replay, because a lot of people will be feeling this or going through this at some stage, and they might not know about all the resources that are available to them. So yeah, please, I'll pop the replay up as soon as it's ready, and please go ahead and point them in this direction. And then, yeah, go on.
If anyone's watching this replay and they haven't started and they do for the first time, it would be really cool just to tag me and Alex in this as well.
Yes.
So that'd be really cool, won't it, as well? Hopefully we can inspire people to start this journey.
That would be great. Thank you. No, that's a great idea. Thank you for that. I would love it if you tagged us, and we would love to support you. So yeah. The next webinar will be, my next webinar will be in 2 weeks' time. I don't know what the topic is yet. I have some ideas, but we'll see. And maybe we'll have another special guest as well. So yeah, keep an eye out in the Scrap the 9 to 5 group for updates, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know shortly before. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and have a lovely evening or day wherever you are. Bye.